Hey, this is me building a crypto personal brand in public until I hit $1 million in revenue. So how these videos are going to work is first I'm going to share a progress update on how I'm going with achieving this goal. Then I'm going to be publicly sharing my strategies and tactics as well as some extra thoughts on how I'm going to be hitting this goal. And then finally, I'm going to wrap up with a Q&A. Okay, so let's start with the progress update. So the monetization of my brand is going to have 4 parts to it. We've got the marketing, sales, delivery, and retention. In order to actually start making money, I need to complete step 3. So this, or the third major stage, which is delivery. As soon as this gets done, money can start coming in. Then the fourth one, retention, this is when a lot more money can come in. But right now I am stuck on this phase right now, which is sales, and there's a lot of prerequisite steps that I'm working on before I can actually move on to onto the next stage. So phase 1, marketing. So all of my marketing is being done on X or Twitter. I'll explain some of the tactics that I'm using in a second. Phase 2 is getting the Telegram launched. And there are 4 things that I wanted to be giving out for free in the Telegram before I can move on to the next stage. So I had to build out 4 things to go and give away before I can move to the next stage. So the first one was a 100-page guide on how to trade momentum on altcoins in low time frames, right? So this one was done. What I'm working on right now is pretty much the same thing, but for the opposite trading style, so mean reversion. So really, really in-depth guide on how to trade mean reversion. And then after that, I've got a custom trading journal coming and then a custom daily report card coming as well. And growth in Telegram is fine, so not concerned with that. But yeah, I just have, right now, I'm just focused on building rather than growing this. But despite that, growth in here is, like growth in the Telegram is going fine. Okay, that is the progress update. Voila. All right, now let's get into strategies and tactics. So the thing that I really want to share today is a really overpowered method that I'm using to gain loads of followers for almost no time, like literally 60 seconds up to 120 seconds of time. This is not an exaggeration. Like that's literally how long it takes me to get loads and loads of followers. Okay, let's get into it. So for context, for context, uh, before November, I was putting in a lot of brute force and a lot of effort into writing 8 really in-depth articles on how to trade altcoins on low time frames. Now, after I got all these articles written, the strategy that I'm using here is I'm reposting the same articles again and again every Saturday, and they get recycled and reused every 8 weeks. So for example, in this first rotation, first I reposted the first article. Then 1 week later, I repost the next article. Another week later, I repost the next article. So you can see here, 12 weeks have passed. I haven't been writing new articles, but just from the act of reposting, I'm still getting a lot of likes, lots of comments, lots of bookmarks, and lots of new followers. So as I'm like on this video today, the one that I did literally today is this one. This is the one that I reposted. And after I finish recording, I'm going to be ticking this button, right? So you can see here that after November, so like after November started, I'm still growing at a pretty good pace on my X account. Despite not creating new articles, I can get away with just reusing and recycling and reposting the same articles again and again, but the strategy is still working to get new followers. So this is how the repost looks like. So you can see here, this is the one that I literally did today, right? Literally today. So I click this button, and after clicking this button, you can do a quote post or quote tweet, right? So this is how I can post it in this format. And then there are 2 parts to this post. The first is the hook, and this is the most important part of the post. Because the hook, the first sentence of the post, this is the thing that actually grabs the attention of people scrolling. If this failed to grab the attention of people who are scrolling through X, they're not going to read the rest, right? So this is the most important thing compared to literally anything else. So this is where all the effort should go when trying to consider writing a post like this. But the format that I use for these reposts is pretty much templatized and systematized, so I don't have to use my brain with writing these. This hook will either be some variation of 4 traders who want to study, 4 traders who don't have an attention span, 4 traders who want a strategy, 4 traders. The point is that the most important thing in this hook, in this sentence, is the 4 traders part. And the reason why is because I'm trying to call them out, right? When you get called out, like imagine you're in a mall and someone calls, you hear your name. As soon as you hear your name, or like let's say you're wearing a black hoodie, if someone was to call out at a loud volume, hey, black hoodie, it acts as a stun gun because you might be thinking, oh, this might be applicable to me. Like I'm being called out here, right? So this is a very effective method to use as a stun gun to basically stop people from scrolling and to actually go and read what you have written in the post and then even potentially click the thing that you are reposting. The other reason why for traders is such a nice hook to use is because it actually assists the X algo in pushing the content to the correct viewers, right? So my job as a creator on a platform is to make it as easy for the algo to push it to the right people. If I just say who this content is for, the algo reads the text, right? Because it's AI, it reads the text, it makes an assessment to who should I be pushing this content to? And then it's like, okay, well, I should probably push this content to traders who want to study. And then the algo just goes and does that. Then we've got the teaser part. But remember, the effort that I'm putting is like 80%, like 80% is in the hook, and then the remaining 20% is in this text. So I wouldn't even say this text is anywhere near as important as this one right here. But yeah, in the teaser, I'm basically just trying to tease them like a trailer into what they're actually going to get if they do click on this thing. So I'm trying to sell them into clicking the article. I'm basically just telling them exactly what they're going to be getting inside. That's it. I'm just helping the viewer decide if they actually want to click on the article or not. That's basically my goal, right? And again, this took me literally 60 seconds, and I think tomorrow I'll show you guys an update for how this post ended up performing. But I want to show you an older example of me doing this exact same thing for a different post of mine, sorry, a different article. So we can see here, look at the date, 31st of July, 2025. And I'm easily able to get away with reposting it on the 2nd of January. See, still got 100,000 views, still got 600 likes, more than 1,000 bookmarks. And here are the analytics, right? So 356 profile visits. On my Twitter account, I have a 25% conversion rate. That means 1 in every 4 people who click on my profile end up following me. So roughly, I got 80 new followers roughly just from this post alone, which took me literally 60 seconds of my time, which is insane. Like, this is absurd levels of engagement, absurd levels of new followers for such a tiny fraction of my time and effort, right? So really, really, really overpowered method. Highly recommend using it if you have articles. Remember, the prerequisite to actually turning this strategy on is you need to have some articles already written before you decide to go and take advantage of something like this. If you do have articles and you're not using this method, well, you're missing out on a lot of extra followers. I'm very curious how many times I can actually get away with reposting the exact same thing over and over again before, one, other people catch on to this specific strategy, or two, if the algo gets like updated to the point where this kind of reposting starts to get punished. But at the moment, the algo is not punishing this kind of content. It is actually rewarding it. And I think the reason why is because, well, if people are clicking on it and people are spending, like if users are genuinely spending their time on reading the actual article, then it would make sense for the algo to reward this kind of content since it's increasing user minutes on the platform. So I think that's fine. So yeah, I'm just going to keep using the strategy over and over and over again until something in the algo changes. But yeah, this is like a super overpowered method, like super, super overpowered. Okay, so that's what I'm doing with the articles. The other thing that I want to show you is, okay, what about content that is not articles? What about just standard looking tweets, right? Like just pure text, no images. I'm recycling this as well. So I call this the fire from the hip and then recycle strategy. So here's how it works. First, I come up with an original tweet. So this is an original tweet. This is just something that, like, this is like a random thought, or someone asked me a question and then I'm replying to someone's question with a genuine, like, handwritten original thought, right? So it's an original tweet, right? After I have the original tweet written, what I will do is I will recycle that same idea and I will repost the recycled version about 90 days later, and then rinse and repeat over and over again, just like how I was doing up here. So I just recycle it over and over and over again every 90 days. It's not blatantly copy pasted. You can see that like some of the wording is a little bit different. Like trading edge is like a needle in a haystack. It's hard to find. And then the next one is edge isn't easy to find. And then in the next one, edge in trading is abnormal, it's rare, so then it makes sense that it's hard to find. So like the core idea is pretty much the same in each of these blank, like just pure text tweets. What's important to understand though is that I don't expect these kind of tweets to be bangers and to go viral. But I'm playing the volume game, hence firing from the hip. So I post 35 of these every single week. That means at the end of the month, I will have well over 100 of these. Now, out of 100 of these, right, 98 of them kind of don't really do that good. And then 2 of them end up being bangers, like viral bang. No, I wouldn't say they go viral, but they perform much better than usual. So let's say the average of these tweets, let's say I would get like 40-ish likes. There'd be every now and again, maybe 2 of them. So like I post 98 times. Out of those 98 posts, the average amount of likes is like 40. And then 2 out of those 100, they just happen to get like 100-ish likes. So more than 2.5x the average number of likes and the average number of engagement. That means that there's something in these tweets which had banger material. Something in the idea or the concept was better than normal. Now, this is really interesting to identify because as soon as I land on one of these by luck, and I can just get lucky just by doing a lot of volume, if I land on 2 of these a month, what I can then do is I can look at the idea. Like, let's pretend that this one happened to go more viral and get more engagement than the rest of the tweets. What I would do is I would take that same tweet and then I would repackage it as text plus an image. And then I'll see how that one goes after I post it. If this one also happens to do really well, which most of the time it does, then I will repackage it into a thread. So a thread is just multiple posts in one about the same content or same idea, but they're just connected. They're connected in a thread, basically. If this does well, which again, usually it does, I will then go and repackage it into an article where I'll go really, really, really in depth about that particular topic. And try to make the article, like I'll genuinely put in like as much effort as I can into making the article like an actual banger, and for there to be actually valuable information in that article, right? So these, like me firing from the hip and having like a 98% failure rate on these tweets and only a 2% hit rate on landing a banger, what it does is it allows me to discover 1 or 2 banger concepts per month, right? On average. And then those 1 or 2 banger concepts that I get to discover per month, they get to be added eventually in the long run. They get to be added to this list, like as I repackage them and improve them and add images, etc., etc. Those ideas get added to this list of articles. And since this is like a big list of assets, right? So these are assets. Like an article is an asset. And I've proven that to show that once an article is written, like once it's done, it can generate followers, engagement, leads over and over and over and over and over again effortlessly, right? So okay, the point is that this firing from the hip method helps me get more articles in the long term. So really useful method. Okay. Moving on, another tactic that I want to share is replying to comments, but this is a unique way of doing it. So if I'm sitting there and I'm just trying to write like tweets just by brute forcing out of my mind, I can sometimes run into mental blanks and I might sit there and think, well, I don't know what to write about, or I don't really have any ideas, or I'm just not feeling it and nothing is popping into my head, right? That can sometimes happen. So coming up with an ideas can sometimes be a constraint. And guess what? You can get all of those ideas from your comments. And I'm going to show you how I do that. So this happened literally today. So this user, Bowtied Guppy, he asked me a question, and then I gave him an original handwritten response. So no AI was used at all in this response. It was purely original. I highly recommend against using AI to reply to stuff like this. Like Uh, not a fan, right? It's just gonna make you look bad. So yeah, I took the time to handwrite a genuine response to this question, and as soon as I got that genuine response written, here's the next step that I do. I take this text and then I recycle it and I try to rewrite it into the format such that it can be posted as like a normal tweet or a normal post. So here's how the recycled version looks like. So it's the same idea. The only thing that I changed, like really, is just the hook, right? And the hook I'm putting 80% of my attention on because this is what grabs people's attention. And then the rest I don't really care that much about, okay? So I put a little bit of effort into writing the hook. When I say a little bit of effort, what I really mean is like 5 minutes of time, maybe 3 minutes of time, and the rest is like 1 minute of time, maybe two, right? And it's just very, very gently rewritten, very, very gently. But the point is that I'm now using this comment and I'm taking this comment and I'm putting it into my list of firing from the hip ideas because people usually they don't see replies right now on the For You timeline as much as people would see like a standard post. And also because on the X platform, especially right now, there are a lot of people who are botting replies with AI and I don't know what else they're using. But the point is that the X platform is not pushing replies anywhere near as heavily as they push these like just standard posts that you actually write by yourself and then you hit send. But the hack here is to just take your reply and then to just post it as a standard post again. So again, almost no effort, but you get a boost to your followers and you also get to increase the speed of discovering bangers, which you can then eventually repurpose and add to your list of assets, as in add to your list of articles. Okay, sweet. Um, what else do we have? Oh yeah, I also wanted to give just a little bit of extra, some extra thoughts. Is that when I'm recycling and rewriting my tweets, yeah, sure, I can just take the same tweet, copy paste it into ChatGPT and say, rewrite this, but change it up a little bit, right? I can do that. And I have done that. But when I have been doing that, it looks so obviously written by AI that it just doesn't look good. It like really, really, really doesn't look good. And I don't know about you, but when I'm scrolling through X and I see someone post something that is like so obviously AI generated, it makes me want to vomit. Like I hate AI generated content like so much. It's like I have a really strong aversion to it. And I'm getting that vibe, at least from the people that I've interacted with, is that and also like looking at the comments from like looking at other people's content is that when people catch someone writing in AI, they like writing with AI, they really, really don't like it, right? Like they really, really don't like it. So I wanted to explain the difference between someone scrolling past your post because they're just not interested in it versus someone scrolling past your post because they really didn't like your post. So let's say here's a post and they have the same idea, right? So idea one and then idea one, right? Same idea. This one is written by hand. This one is written by AI. So I post both of them and they get the same engagement and they both flop. So let's say this one only gets 15 likes and let's say this one gets also about 15 likes, right? Here's the thing though. Here's the thing. You might look at just the metrics alone and think like, oh, these posts perform the same, right? Because the metrics look the same. But what you can't see behind the metrics is the emotional response to the content itself, right? You can't see that. You can't measure it. People can scroll past something because they just don't like it. Like, okay, let me give you an example. So let's say I post about some food that I bought today. So not on brand, not anything to do with trading. I just post about a picture of food, right? My followers can scroll past that and they're not going to click like, they're not going to engage with it. But they're not bothered by it either. They kind of just scroll past and they're like, oh yeah, like I have a neutral I have a neutral response to this. Like they don't mind, they don't care, but they don't love it. Um, Versus, let's say I post something that's blatantly like AI generated, and my follower sees that, their output is the same. They scroll past it and they don't click on it. but their emotional response is really negative and it leaves a bad taste in their mouth to the point where it gives like this negative association with me and my content, right? And that I want to avoid. So here's the point that I want to make with this is that this is my opinion, by the way. This is just my opinion that being slightly more efficient with your output is not worth the risk to be caught with using AI. Like I still use AI to give me a first draft, but like 80% of my posts are handwritten, right? Handwritten. And I think this is a really, really important ratio to maintain, at least for me. Is this the best ratio? No. I mean, sorry, I don't know, right? Maybe there are people out there who are like so cracked with using AI, like they're so good with it that people can't tell. And I'm sure there are people out there who have really nailed it, but I at least haven't, right? I can't just throw my stuff into GPT, even if I like really try to tinker with the prompts, and I have, by the way. I genuinely have tried to put a lot of effort into tinkering with the prompts to like I literally fed it like 500 of my previous tweets so it can get like a good idea on the writing style, like how I use these bullet points, how I do the spacing, how I even add my little pepper emoji at the end to just make it look weird or make it look like me, right? It's just like a weird little this has like no benefit on like brand or engagement at all. This is just like a fun thing that I do. But yeah, the point is that if you are going to use AI, it's not worth using it to the point where you're going to get caught. Like if you're going to use it very gently, unless of course you're cracked. Okay, so that's the Twitter tactics. So we've got the tactics out of the way, and then finally we can wrap up with some Q&A. All right, Q&A. So Bowtied Guppy. So this is actually the question that I got earlier. Where was it? Earlier today. So see, I'm recycling a comment and I'm using it as content here. So I try to be efficient with what I have. I try to be resourceful. Okay, so what kind of traits does one take as a scalper, and what's a good risk reward to have? Okay, so when price is coming into a level, there's really only three types of decisions that I can make. The first one is I can bet on price breaking through the level. So this is momentum. Or I can bet on price reversing from the level. This is mean reversion. Or I can just not bet at all because I don't know. So therefore, I can bet on a breakout or I can bet on a reversal. That's really the only two things that I can do as a scalper. And then the second question is, what's a good risk reward to have? I can't tell you the best risk reward to have because it's going to be dependent on the strategy that you use. But me personally, I use somewhere between 1 to 1.5. And this applies specifically to the strategy that I shared here. And it's also going to apply to the same strategy for mean reversion. I'm basically just playing it from one level to the next. So for example, if I'm taking a breakout and let's say I've got to stop here, and this is like the next resistance, if I enter a trade here, I'm going to be exiting like at wherever the next resistance level is. And a lot of the time, it's just somewhere within this region, like between 1 to 1.5 R. Some people might look at this and be like, huh, that's really low. Or, I've seen like other traders use like 3R trades, 4R trades. And the thing is like, sure, that looks great on paper and the screenshot looks really cool. But here's the thing. So we have risk reward and then we also have win rate. If you are trying to crank up your risk reward, in a strategy, naturally your win rate is going to go down because you're trying to catch a larger move. If you're trying to catch a smaller move with a smaller risk reward, what happens is your win rate will go up, right? So there is a trade-off that is occurring. Now, if I had to pick my poison, which one would I rather have? Would I rather have a higher win rate or would I rather have a higher risk reward? I would rather have the higher win rate. Let me explain why. If I have a higher win rate, my maximum drawdown, so my average maximum drawdown over the next 100 trades is going to be lower, right? So for example, if I have a 30% win rate, but a super duper high risk reward, it doesn't matter that I have a super high risk reward. I'm more likely to go on like 10 or 15 losses in a row, right? If I have a really low risk reward, and a really high win rate, let's say my win rate is 70, but I have a really low risk reward, once I get hit by that inevitable loss streak, how bad that loss streak is, I might only experience like a 9 losses in a row, like 10 losses in a row, right? So By having a really high win rate, you're actually decreasing your average expected maximum drawdown. And by having a lower drawdown, what you can do to compensate for that is you can just crank up your risk on the trade, right? So what I mean by that is this. Imagine that you are taking a 2R trade, right? And you risk $10 on it. If I risk $20 on a 1R trade, if both of these trades win, it's still $20 as the win. So the size of the average win is pretty much the same, right? And then the loss, right? I can maintain a similar drawdown as the 2R strategy because I've got twice as much risk on here on the 1Rs, right? So it's I'll link you a tweet, like a lengthy tweet that I made on this topic, bow-tied guppy, bowtie. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Yeah, I'll DM you a lengthy tweet on this, and also I'll include it in the description. Like I wrote a whole thing about low R trades relative to drawdown and how much risk you can throw on the trade. All right, next question, Crypto J. He asked, what is the process for learning and improving faster on low timeframes? Okay, so this is how we do it. So step one, we load an account with $10. Step two, we get a strategy to use on the 1 minute time frame. Step three, we trade a lot, and we journal every single trade that's taken. Because if we're journaling everything, we're getting to collect a whole bunch of data in a very short window of time. The next thing is we want to review that journal a lot. So like every week or every month, or ideally both, right? So every week and every month, you're reviewing the journal, and the goal here is we want to find things that we're doing bad, and we also want to find things that we're doing good. Start with the bad. So this is like trying to actively find mistakes that you're making. If you're making less mistakes over time, like if you're finding a mistake and then correcting it, and let's say you correct 1 or 2 mistakes, maybe 3 mistakes each month, then gradually month over month over month, you're getting less worse over time. But getting less worse over time is the same thing as getting better over time. So that's what I would recommend. Through this process of getting less worse over time, you will gradually and eventually become profitable. And then once you become profitable, then it's time to scale. So what I would not recommend is to go from a $10 account and then just magically go up to your full portfolio size. So whatever that is. So if you start with a $10 account and you stay there until your journal finally shows that you're profitable over the previous 30 trades. Oh, just quick context. The way that I would recommend scaling is each month you would look at the journal, and if you looked at the last 30 trades and your P&L is positive over the previous 30 trades, that's like a hint. It's not a guarantee, but it's a hint that whatever you're doing is slowly starting to work, right? Not a guarantee, but it's a hint, right? And then as that performance gets better, it's a sign that you're improving. Okay, but anyway, as soon as your journal starts to show you that you are getting better and your performance is getting better, I would recommend gradually and incrementally scaling up. So starting with a $10 account, then moving up to a $1,000 account with risking only 1% per trade. So that means if you lose the trade, you only lose $10 on the trade, right? Then prove yourself again over the next 30 trades. So as soon as you become profitable over the previous 30 trades, scale up again to 2,000 and then 5, and then so on and so forth. So you're not jumping from like paper trading or like trading with a test size all the way to like your full portfolio size. What you're doing is you're gradually getting there, like one step at a time, and that's just gonna it's gonna make the process like feel a lot more smoother. So yeah, that's what I would recommend. All right, next question, Smiley. Am I based in Australia? No. So I did grow up in Australia, but I'm currently based in Thailand. So I moved to Thailand a few years ago. All right, next question. Okay, what I've done here is I've taken a screenshot from my message requests and I've blurred the names, just me trying to be polite to these guys and everyone else. So on a really regular basis, I get a lot of messages like, "Hey, I'm a BD from a particular crypto exchange. Would you like to do a partnership with us? We will pay you like some certain amount of money to promote our exchange, or we will give you a commission for promoting our exchange, or something along those lines, or promoting our platform, whatever. So the question that all of these guys are asking is, am I open to doing any paid promotions or any paid partnerships? At the moment, no, I am not interested in any of this. Like at the moment, this is not for me, right? So if one of you guys happen to be watching this and you are a BD for a exchange or something like that, my apologies, but I'm just not interested in any promotions at the moment. All right, and then next we've got this guy requested to be anonymous, so all good, fair enough. He asked, how much attention do I give funding rates in my trades? So my answer to this was, if you're jumping into a trade and the funding rate is insanely high, let's say we've got, let me draw a chart. Let's say we've got a giant staircase like this, and let's say I really want to go and take this breakout trade, and we've got like the next resistance over here, and let's say I've got my stop here, so this is my stop, this is my target, and I'm looking to take this breakout trade from here up to here. And let's say my average trade duration is about 60 minutes, roughly. If right before my entry, if I know that there is going to be a giant funding payment that I have to go and pay in the next 15 minutes or so, and I'm about to enter the trade, and let's say the size of this move, let's say it's 3%, but in 15 minutes, there is going to be a 1% funding fee. If I am long and this funding payment hits while I'm still in the position, I'm going to lose about a third of my entire P&L. So if I'm going for a 1R trade, even if the price hits the target, after getting hit with this funding fee, I'm going to walk away with 0.7R, which is not fun. That just basically destroys any edge that I have. So here's the thing. Most of the time, I will not be paying that much attention to funding, but if the funding of an altcoin is more than 0.3% or less than 0.3%, I'm going to be paying attention to it, right? I'm going to be paying attention to it. Sometimes I can get away with it. So sometimes it will say the funding is really high, but the payment is coming in 3 hours from now. If my average trade duration is 60 minutes, I can get away with this because I'm entering the trade here, and it will probably hit my target or hit my stop before this funding payment comes. And right before the funding payment comes, if I just so happen to be stuck in the position, I can just exit out of the trade anyway and protect myself from having to pay the funding payment. So that's how I go about it. Rule of thumb though is if the funding payment, I'll just say funding payment, is greater than 0.1R, then I will probably not take the trade. If the funding payment is greater than 0.1R, and how the timer, as in like when this funding payment is going to hit, is going to be in less than 2 hours, I'm going to maybe reconsider, right? Maybe. If it's in like less than 30 minutes, I'm probably not going to take the trade. The point is that I really want to avoid paying funding payments which are greater than 0.1R of my entire trade. So as in, if the size of the trade that I'm trying to catch is 3%, and this funding payment is, the distance from my entry to the stop loss. So if this is my entry and then this is my stop. So yeah, entry, stop loss. Let's say this is 3%. That means 0.1R is how much? It is 0.3%. So that means if the funding is greater than this, I'm going to be a little bit wary. That's when it's like, okay, I have to put my safety hat on and be a little bit cautious with moving forward. But like this is an abnormality. It's not going to happen all the time. It's just like every now and again, if this happens, I just have to be a little bit cautious. All right, sweet. So we wrapped up. Yeah, we covered everything there. So now I guess it's time to wrap up. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you all tomorrow. Oh, and tomorrow I will also update you with, where was it? I'll show you the update with how this tweet performed. But I won't be that surprised if it actually does pretty decently. But yeah, guys, again, thanks for watching, and I will wrap up here.